أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So in this spiritual contemplation, we're going to be diving into the opening verses of Surah Yā-Sīn. We'll be drawing on some beautiful insights, both classical and Sufi, that were put together by Mir Ali Shah. So let's begin this reflection together.
Right from the get-go, the Surah opens not with an argument, not with a proof, but with this incredibly powerful oath. It's declaring an unshakable reality. It's not trying to convince you of the truth, it's starting from the truth. And from there, it begins to ask a much deeper question. What happens inside of us when that truth arrives?
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This whole opening section is basically telling us, look, the problem isn't a lack of guidance out there in the world. The real crisis is the state of the human heart that's supposed to receive that guidance.
So right away, the Quran just lays its cards on the table. It says, here's where I'm from, the mighty, the merciful. Here's the messenger, he's on a straight and clear path. And here's why I'm here, as an act of mercy, to awaken people who are spiritually asleep, just lost in heedlessness. Everything is laid out, crystal clear.
Okay, so if everything is so clear, that leads to the big question, right? If the light is so bright, why do so many of us stay in the dark? And this is where the surah does something fascinating. It shifts the focus away from the message itself and turns the camera right back onto us, the receivers.
To explain this, the Quran introduces some really potent imagery. It talks about chains and barriers. And these have two profound layers of meaning, an outer reality and a much, much deeper inner one.
I mean, just listen to the intensity of that. Picture it. Shackles around your neck, forcing your head up. Barriers in front of you and behind you, completely blocking your view. It's a vivid portrait of a heart that has become totally and utterly sealed off.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The outer, or zahir, meaning tells us these shackles are a direct consequence from God for being stubborn. That posture with the head forced up, it's a perfect metaphor for arrogance. But then you have the inner, or batin, interpretation, and this is just, wow. It says those chains are actually self-forged. They're our own pride, our ego, our attachments. And those barriers? They're not physical walls. They are the walls of time that we build ourselves, made of regret for the past and anxiety for the future. And they completely block out the present moment, which is the only place we can actually find God.
And Rumi just nails it with this line, doesn't he? It perfectly captures that inner meaning. The arrogance of the ego, that raised head, is the very thing that prevents us from even seeing the door of humility and submission that's right in front of us.
But here's the beautiful thing. The Quran never just gives you a diagnosis and then walks away. It doesn't leave us in a state of despair. After showing us the problem of the hardened heart, it immediately points to the cure, this alternative path of awareness. And here is the absolute key. This warning, this reminder, it only works for a certain kind of person. It's not for the one demanding proof on their own terms. No, it's for the one who is willing to follow the reminder and who has this special kind of awe for God, the one they can't even see.
Now, this idea of fear isn't about terror. The Sufi masters explain it with a beautiful concept, muraqabah. It's a profound, intimate, moment-to-moment awareness of God's presence. It's about living with the reality of the unseen, not as something far away, but as the deepest dimension of what's happening right here, right now.
And the reward for living in this state is just beautiful. It's forgiveness, which means you're released from the chains of the past. And it's a noble reward, an ajr kareem, which the wise have understood as ma'rifah, a direct, intimate knowledge of God. It's the gift of clarity, of a heart that can finally truly see again.
So the final verses in this passage really bring this whole idea down to a deeply personal level. Now we're talking about accountability, about resurrection, and about the permanent mark that every single one of our actions leaves behind.
This verse is just so powerful. We give life to the dead. That means the final resurrection, for sure, but it also means the spiritual revival of a hardened heart, right now. And then it says that nothing is lost. Everything we do, every intention we have, it's all recorded.
You know, the inner reading of this clear record, the Imam Mubin, is that it's not some big book in the heavens. It's the very fabric of reality. Every single choice, every thought, every act of love or neglect, it all leaves an imprint on existence itself. And our own hearts are the pens writing our reality, moment by moment, whether we're aware of it or not.
And that brings us to the ultimate message of hope here. That state of being shackled and blind, it's a temporary condition. It is not your final destiny. That promise, we give life to the dead, that applies right now.
The heart can always be revived. So, let's just take a moment to bring this home. Let's ask ourselves a tough question. Where in my life have my own routines, my comforts, my ways of thinking, where have they become shackles that are holding me back? And what about those inner barriers? What past regret am I holding on to? Or what future anxiety am I stuck in that's building a wall around me and keeping me from being fully present with God, right here and now?
And finally, when I hear the reminder, when I listen to the Quran, or I'm engaged in remembrance, does it actually get in? Does it penetrate my heart and change my state? Or has it just become familiar background noise that stops at my ears?
You know, the path forward is found right in these insights. The iron shackles of our ego are melted by the water of humility. The walls of past and future, they're dissolved by the light of presence. And the most hopeful truth of all is that your heart is not a finished book. It is still writable.
So let's conclude with the beautiful munajat, the intimate prayer that's offered in the source material. O opener of hearts, release us from chains we mistake for identity. Remove the veils of past and future, so we may see you in the present. Make us among those who follow the reminder and fear you unseen, and write us among the living before you raise the dead.
Amen.